Welcome to Understanding Quantum Healing and How to Effectively Cause Change. My name is Dagmar, and I'm a spiritual healer, teacher, mentor, and author and speaker. And I also recently founded the Advanced Healers Academy, where I teach how to facilitate quantum healing. I've now been in the deep soul transformation industry for over 14 years, and have successfully helped literally thousands of people improve their lives in many different ways. Have you ever wondered what causes real deep down change? I'm talking about the kind of change that actually changes your vibration and in turn, changes your reality. Perhaps you've had that live-in boyfriend for 20 years who kept belittling you all that time, or your spouse, and then they suddenly stop. That kind of change. Or the kind of change where you've been job hunting recently and couldn't get any offers in, but then suddenly the floodgates opened and dozens of job offers keep pouring in, especially the right ones just for you. Or the kind of change where you've been avoiding and procrastinating, living your soul purpose and your divine destiny. And suddenly you stop procrastinating, avoiding, and get excited instead. And start going gung-ho gangbusters on living your soul purpose and divine destiny. That kind of change. I've literally read hundreds of self-help books. And I got to tell you that none of them go into the details of how to actually cause or create that down deep inner change that changes your vibration. All of them tell you what to do externally, but forcing yourself to do something different isn't the kind of change I'm talking about, because the kind of change I'm talking about is when you change your vibration where things just naturally happen. You don't have to force anything at all. And things just naturally flow. That's the kind of change I'm talking about. So what I'll be sharing here with you today is, what is quantum healing all about? And how does it profoundly change your life like that? How can it do that? And what kind of results could you expect from something like quantum healing? And then I also will be sharing with you the biggest secret that even the secret doesn't share with you. And just to let you know, there is nothing for sale at the end of this webinar. So you're welcome to stick around all the way to the end, because at the end I do have a little gift for you. So go ahead and get comfortable, get a pen and paper, get rid of any distractions, because you don't want to miss any of this juicy information that's not readily taught out there in the mainstream, because it can literally change your life. So who is this webinar for and who is it not for? Well, first of all, it's for someone who's ready for change. Perhaps you're feeling stuck, or you've tried all kinds of other things and nothing has worked so far. And it's for someone who wants to improve themselves. Perhaps you want to create some inner peace for yourself. Are you tired of all that drama in your life? Or perhaps you want to improve your self-confidence or self-worth. That can make a world of difference in how many clients or how much money you can pull in, for example, in a business. It's also for someone who wants to improve their relationships. And I'm not just talking intimate relationships, but perhaps a relationship with your child or your parents or your friends. Or are you dealing with a twin flame? That's one of the most difficult relationships out there. And it's also for someone who wants to break free from their past and their dysfunctional patterns. Is your past preventing you from creating the future you really want? And it's for someone who wants more out of life. Perhaps you're stuck in a job that is not fulfilling and you're wondering if this is it. Well, if you're wondering that, there's probably more for you out there. But sometimes we're afraid to go after what our soul purpose is, And sometimes we procrastinate. Sometimes we know what our soul purpose is, but we procrastinate and avoid living our soul purpose because we have fear. Are you perhaps hiding in the spiritual closet? Perhaps you have your own divine gifts and are afraid to use them. It's also for someone who wants to learn quantum healing. Do you want to help people but don't know how? Perhaps you have seen a number of psychics who have told you that you're a healer, and yet you don't know how to heal. This is definitely for you. Also, it's for someone who's being triggered by their clients. I've met quite a few therapists and counselors who have their practice and they're being triggered by their clients and feeling miserable. What happens that most of the time people get into the therapy business because they need healing themselves. And then when they have their own practice, when they're a therapist, they attract their vibrational match as their clients. And so then their clients have similar issues as they do, and they trigger then the therapist into their own unresolved pain. And that's what causes all that misery. Well, quantum healing can help you take care of all that. Also, it's for someone who wants to create more abundance. Maybe you're living the scarcity and lack mindset and would like more abundance in your life. Or perhaps you are an empath who's picking up on other people's negative energies. Stick around through the information and you'll find out how you can change that. So who is it not for? It's not for someone who doesn't believe in metaphysics or who doesn't believe that they're a spiritual being. I'm not here to convince you of anything. So if you don't believe in those things, this is what this webinar is all about. So this may not be for you. Also, it's not for someone who doesn't believe in past lives. I talk a lot about past lives. Past lives have quite a bit of influence on us in present time. And so if you don't believe in those, this may not be for you. Also, it's not for someone who's closed-minded or who has all the answers already. If you're in that category, then you probably won't learn anything anyway. And so this is just going to be a big waste of your time. Also, it's not for someone who's not interested in alternative healing methods. This is a very alternative healing method, very far removed from the ideas and concepts as we know them in the Western type medicine. Also, it's not for someone who is not content, or who is content with their lot in life. If you're not looking for a change, this may just be a waste of time for you. Also, it's not for someone who's not willing to face their pain or who's not willing to do the internal work. Okay, this is not some quick fix. All right, any kind of healing is going to require you to face your pain and do internal work, period. No one gets a pass on this. Okay, so if you're looking for a quick fix, this is not for you. So what is quantum healing? Basically, it's transforming energy on the smallest molecular level. And also it focuses on changing your reality by modifying your vibrational state. And it has basically a ripple effect throughout all your bodies, meaning through your ethereal body, through your emotional body, through your mental body, and into your physical body, where the change occurs on a cellular level. It is also considered a form of alternative medicine, where a fundamental change in consciousness is said to produce a profound healing in body and mind. So it's about a shift in consciousness. And unlike traditional Western chemical medicine, which focuses on the body, quantum healing focuses on the wholeness, the unity of the person. Because in your natural whole state of being is when you function the best. That's when you have health. That's when things work, including your reality. I'll give you a couple examples. I had a client who came to me complaining about her 20-year live-in boyfriend who constantly belittled her. After about 4 quantum healing sessions with me, she informed me that he suddenly stopped belittling her. We never talked to the boyfriend. We never did any healings with the boyfriend or on the boyfriend. Okay, and yet he changed his behavior toward her as a result of us modifying her vibrational state. It actually changed her reality. Okay, pretty profound stuff. Also, alternative medicine and shifting in consciousness. I had a client that was experiencing chronic hip pain for many, many years throughout her entire life. And she had been to chiropractors, acupuncturists, doctors, tried yoga, all kinds of stuff. And they basically pretty much told her she had arthritis in her hip and there was nothing she could do about it. She came to me and we did a healing and took her into a past lifetime where she sustained an injury in her hip. And we healed that. And guess what? She walked out of my office that day with no hip pain. Absolutely profound. But that is alternative medicine that's causing shift in consciousness, that's transforming your energy and bringing you back into wholeness. And it's very powerful stuff, quantum healing. Before we go into further detail about quantum healing, let me tell you a little bit about me and my story so that you kind of know what I've done, where I've come from, who I am. So my name is Dagmar Oktapcová, and I'm actually born in Prague, the Czech Republic. And in 1969, 1 year after the Prague invasion, that was the communist invasion or the Russian invasion of our country, my parents, with us kids, my brother and I, escaped from our country. We basically took a few suitcases and pretended to go on vacation across the border to never return. And as such, I got to travel the world. We immigrated to South Africa for a while and then came back to Europe, to Germany, where I lived for about 10 years or so. And then later I had the opportunity to come to the United States. So I immigrated to the United States back in, it was 1981. Actually, it was 1981. And so, yes, I've traveled the world, and eventually I came out to Colorado, which was actually very spiritually inspired for me to come to Colorado. I had no idea what awaited me in Colorado. But 5 years after I moved out to Colorado in about 2005, unbeknownst to me, I met my twin flame. And the shaman I worked with later had told me that actually meetings like ours don't just happen. They're actually in the spiritual world pre-planned years in advance. For those of you who don't know what a twin flame is, it's actually similar to soulmate, but different at the same time, because with your twin flame, you're actually originally born as one soul together. And at some point in time, that soul split into 2 pieces. And each piece became a whole individual. And so the other person literally is the other part of your soul. And it's very similar actually to the phenomena of twins in the physical world, especially the ones from the same egg. The same egg versus the same soul. There's also a very strong bond, and they have a lot of ESP with each other, and they feel each other long distance. It's very similar with twin flames. Well, when I met my twin flame, I didn't know what a twin flame was. I actually was not in the spiritual field, a healer and clairvoyant as I am today. I actually was in my own cosmetology business, and prior to that, I was doing all kinds of other stuff, anything other than metaphysical or spiritual stuff. And it wasn't until I met my twin flame, who caused me my spiritual awakening, that I shortly thereafter started remembering our past lifetimes and who he was and who I was, and I started reconnecting with my own inner wisdom and abilities as a healer and clairvoyant. And it all set me on my own healing journey. And as a result of this journey with my twin flame, I not only became a spiritual healer and clairvoyant, and a teacher and mentor in that field, and author and speaker, but I also am an expert in twin flames, if you will, and I do offer twin flame counseling as well as healing, understanding the importance of healing in a twin flame relationship and why twin flames come together, and more so today than ever before. So I have basically my twin flame to thank. I'm very grateful to him for, turning my life upside down, so to speak, and causing me my spiritual awakening. And in essence, he's the reason for what I'm doing today. The journey of meeting my twin flame was so profound. It's such an amazing story that at some point I was inspired to write a book about it. The story is about this guy I meet that completely turns my life upside down. And throughout that process, I'm experiencing the spiritual awakening where I'm moving through these shifts in consciousness and gaining this understanding that I've never had before. And I'm actually reconnecting with the spiritual field. And, throughout this process, I am not just discovering who he is, but I am discovering who I am. And it's just a beautiful story of soul connection, past life remembrance, spiritual awakening, and multidimensional healing. People tell me it's a page turner because it's actually written in mystery form in how it is actually, uncovering for me in the process. And it took me almost 10 years to write it, because when you're writing your own story, you kind of have to live it, then you have to heal from it, then you have to rewrite it, and so forth. And so I finally published it in 2013. It's now available on Amazon as well as on my website, thespiritualhealer.info. And so if you like a good read written in mystery form, I highly, highly recommend it. I'm sure you will love it. And if you do read it, you'll have to let me know how you like it. You may be wondering at this point, what actually qualifies me to facilitate and or teach something like quantum healing. Well, if you're looking for a degree of some sort from the mainstream educational system, I may have to disappoint you. But at the same time, that's what makes me and my teaching so unique, because the wisdom that I have is not readily taught out there in the mainstream educational system, nor even in, the large part of the metaphysical world. So where have I acquired, this wisdom that I have? Well, first of all, just want to mention that the people that I have met throughout my journey were placed into my path, I believe, on purpose by my higher self, and to help me basically get to where I am today, and to help me reconnect with all the knowledge and understanding that I needed to do what I'm doing today. One of those people I connected with and I went to work with is a shaman by the name of Eagle Star Blanket. And he pretty much did some healings with me and then started teaching me about the spiritual world, which actually started reconnecting me with the spiritual world. Because understand that prior to my twin flame waking me up, I was actually in cosmetology. I wasn't in the spiritual healing field at all. And so, my twin flame waking me up marked the beginning of me reconnecting with that world. One of the people I also met later on was a woman by the name of Erica Neiman, or Kika. And she's someone I actually knew from past lifetimes. And she was also an old and wise soul. She had a ton of information and understanding about the metaphysical world, the spiritual world, or, spirit and soul. And she was an absolute joy to work with. And she taught me a great many things. One of which was, for example, the mirror effect, which I use in my practice to this day to identify or help me identify the core issue. And she was an integral part of me actually designing this healing process that I use today, which is kind of a combination of wisdom from Tao, Buddhism, and probably shamanism. And the other place where I acquired some wisdom and knowledge and understanding was actually from my spirit, my higher self, taking me on these learning tours. One such tour was I came down with these horrendous allergies toward anything that had any kind of chemicals in them. And for a while there, I couldn't put chapstick on my lips. I wore butter for face cream for a while. I couldn't be in the same room as some scented candles or sleep on a synthetic pillow. I mean, any kind of contact or close proximity with anything that had any chemicals in them would just take my system down. And it wasn't just a rash I was getting, it was actually systemic. And so it was like having a flu all the time. And my energy levels would just drop to almost nil, and I felt like I was crawling through life. But to make a long story short, I ended up curing myself from all these allergies. And through the process of that, I actually learned everything there is to know about allergies. I probably know more about allergies than any kind of allergy clinic out there, because I understand them from a physical level as well as from the subconscious and the spiritual level. And not only have I cured myself from all of my allergies, but I have also done numerous healings with my clients to help them eliminate allergies. And recently I helped actually a woman eliminate her wheat allergies that she's had, for most of her life. And now after a few healings with me, she no longer has a reaction to eat and can eat wheat no problem. So, there was one avenue or place where I acquired wisdom and understanding is through my, spirit taking me on these interesting tours. And then the other place I gained my wisdom was actually, I reconnected with wisdom from my past lifetimes as a healer. And, we actually carry our wisdom and abilities that we acquire in other lifetimes over into this lifetime. It's like bicycle riding. We never forget it. And it was a matter of reconnecting with it. One of the things that happened to me was actually as I worked with the Shaman Eagle Star Blanket, I wondered if I could possibly be a healer like he was. It actually occurred to me. Now, mind you, again, remember that I was in cosmetology. I wasn't in the spiritual healing field at that point. And so I thought I'd make some calls and talk to some people about it. And I pick up the phone and I could not make the call. And all of a sudden there was this huge barrier, this huge wall of fear that came up in front of me that I never even knew that existed. I didn't even know there was there. And the reason for this big wall of fear, as I found out later, is I've had a lot of past life persecutions for being a healer and a clairvoyant in many other lifetimes. And at some point, I must have closed the curtains on all that, on that entire subject of spiritual stuff. And basically, it took my twin flame in this life to actually wake me up and start my journey of reconnecting with it all. Probably my biggest qualifier, if you will, is basically the results I've been able to gain for myself, because I had to I had to heal myself out of where I was with this horrendous wall of fear, not being able to make a call, to being able to speak in front of people about being a healer and so forth. And there's no way I could have done that in the beginning. So I had to heal myself every step of the way to where I am at today. And then also the results I've been able to gain from my clients. And so that's probably my biggest qualifier, the results I'm getting for not just for myself, but also for people, for other people, for clients. And the results speak for themselves. So this is my great wall of fear as it was in the beginning of my journey. I don't know if you can see this little person here on this left side, and then this is my wall of fear, and this is where my soul was calling me to. This is where my soul freedom is, and where my soul can, soar to great heights, really thrive and accomplish great things. But this was all in the way of it. And so what did this wall of fear consist of for me? Well, first of all, I was very afraid to be seen. This was impeding the publishing of my book initially, because I was thinking about getting a pen name, because I wasn't comfortable with publishing my story, putting myself out on my sleeve out there into the public. And, then I thought to myself, this is really counterproductive, because, hiding behind my pen name is not going to serve me trying to market myself and become a known healer, So I had to heal myself out of this fear before I could publish my book. Then I was really afraid to, say that I was a healer and clairvoyant. There was no way I could stand in front of you and speak in public and claim that I was a healer and clairvoyant. This was due to mainly past life persecutions I had experienced, and it was huge. This was very huge for me. And again, I had to heal myself out of this to be able to stand in front of you in public and speak and say that I'm a healer and speak on spiritual, subjects. I was primarily living from a place of fear and survival, which really didn't allow my soul to thrive, and I certainly wasn't connected to my personal power. And then recently, I was afraid to be a leader or step into the leadership role, as my soul kept calling me to, teach quantum healing. And I created the Advanced Healers Academy, and then I kept procrastinating and avoiding. And, soon thereafter, I realized I had some healing to do once again to overcome this blockage I had going about stepping up into a leadership role. And that all I accomplished through quantum healing. So my question to you is, what is your great wall of fear? What is holding you back from living your divine destiny or your soul purpose, or even just whatever lifestyle you want? Are you afraid to be seen? Or perhaps you're hiding in the spiritual closet and are afraid to step out into the public, even though your soul calling is to change the world out there. Or perhaps you're afraid what people might think, or worse yet, that they might think you're crazy because you're psychic and you have abilities. Or perhaps you're afraid that you may not be enough. Or perhaps if you have a practice, you're not attracting enough clients. That certainly is a sign of blockage that can be overcome through quantum healing. Or this is a real good one. Do you keep wanting to pay experts to build your business? I've met so many different light workers or therapists or coaches who pay thousands of dollars to business coaches, and it doesn't do them any good. Why? Because they still have the same exact blocks after they paid the coach as before. There's no change that happened for them. And I have some news for you. Your business will never outgrow you. You have to grow in order to grow your business. And so you're much better off, spending your money and investing in changing and shifting your vibration so that you can grow and grow your business. And this all can be accomplished through quantum healing. I'm going to share with you the biggest secret that even the secret doesn't share with you. And some of you may have heard of The Secret, and perhaps some of you may not. But what it is a bunch of teachings about the power of positive thinking and manifesting what it is you want. Now, it has become quite the fad out there amongst the transformational coaches, if you will, where everybody's talking about, positive thoughts and affirmations. But the secret here is that your vibration doesn't just consist of thoughts and your intentions and affirmations. It also consists of unresolved pain experiences. And that's basically the biggest secret that most people don't know about, that even the secret doesn't know about. Because in some instances, your thoughts, will work for you, and then in other instances, they may not. Or they will work for some, and they may not work for some others. One of my clients actually flat out told me that. She goes, after a few healings with you, the secret actually finally now works for me. Okay, and that's because of this reason. Now, what are unresolved pain experiences, you may be asking? What it is basically we go through life and we experience pain, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, or otherwise. It doesn't matter. Pain is pain. And sometimes we can't deal with it in the moment because it's too intense or because we don't want to, and we shove it under the carpet. And thus, we don't fully process it. And so it becomes this unresolved experience that we carry with us throughout lifetimes. It actually, we transfer that with us from lifetime to lifetime. And so then we manifest with those unresolved experiences. And some of them completely contradict our thoughts of what we want to manifest. And so our thoughts then don't work. I give you an example of, say the abused woman who has a lot of pain in her past of abuse may sit there and think to herself, I want to attract, and this time I'm going to attract just the right guy, a nice guy, whom I can have a healthy relationship with. That's her intention. And yet, who does she attract? Another perfect abuser for her. Then later in the relationship, they do the abuse tango together. And what they're trying to do on a soul level is actually work out their abuse issues. And so, instead of attracting with her thoughts and intentions, what she attracted with is her unresolved pain experiences of abuse. Because what the soul wants is for you to resolve these unresolved experiences, and so you will continuously attract that which you don't want that's unresolved in your vibration until you do resolve it. And that's where quantum healing comes in. Because how do we achieve such profound shift in consciousness as in quantum healing? We transform this unresolved pain into wisdom for the soul. So where does our fear and dysfunction come from? Well, over the course of the last 14 plus years in my healing business, in my healing profession, I've concluded that basically most of it comes from unresolved pain. And so I must ask you, are you living from your heart or your hurt? Because our unresolved pain is actually stored part of our ego, which is our survival mechanism. And so what happens is that pain is considered to be non-survival. And the more pain you experience, the more likely it is that you might die. So what happens is that the ego is trying to protect you and, trying to keep you surviving. And so it compares your present situations against what you have stored up as unresolved pain back here. And if anything looks anywhere close to similar to what you have been involved in before, where you experience pain, it actually throws off all kinds of warning signals in your emotional field, such as fear, worry, stress, anxiety, okay? Because it's trying to prevent you from going there again, okay? And so that's what the ego is designed to do. It's designed to help you survive, except the problem with it is that it's actually counterproductive, because you're actually, while you're in your ego, you're actually more likely to create more pain for yourself, okay? And so, how do you tell whether you are in your ego versus your pure spirit and heart? Well, this little, list over here of things actually tell you, where you are. So in other words, if you're feeling fear, you're in your ego. If you're feeling worried and stressed, you're in your ego. If you're feeling anxiety, you're in your ego. If you're feeling angry, you're in your ego, right? All the low vibration emotions are basically part of your unresolved pain, which is part of your ego. All right, so also you feel disconnected here because you have to be in your pure spirit and heart to actually be connected to your source. Well, when you're in your ego, you're not connected to your source, so therefore you're actually feeling disconnected because you are. Because you can't be in both places at the same time, although you can bounce back and forth, okay? But in the ego, for example, you manifest with your unresolved experiences, whereas in pure spirit, you're manifesting with your thoughts and intentions. Remember the biggest secret I shared with you? Or that abused woman that manifested the same old bad guy, even though her thoughts and intentions were to meet the nice guy? Well, she was obviously manifesting with her unresolved experiences from her ego, from her pain part of herself of abuse. Okay, that wasn't fully resolved. So she attracted just the right abuser. Also in the ego, you're in survival mode. So while you're in the ego and survival mode, you're not going to allow yourself to thrive as a soul. Thriving is about expansion, expanding your soul, connecting with your inner power, following your divine destiny, and all the decisions that you make that basically move you into a better place of being, and decisions you make is really coming from your higher self, rather than when you're making decisions from your survival mode and ego, it's going to be very contractive, contracting instead of expanding, and it's certainly not coming from your highest self. So like, for example, say, there's a reason why you were put in front of this webinar, and say that you would really benefit from doing some healing so that it would actually shift you over into pure spirit and heart, right? But yet you are in your survival mechanism, in your ego, and so you're in fear, you're coming from a place of surviving. You are living in lack, so there's scarcity, so you're afraid of not having enough. And so most likely, you're going to be in resistance to, say, buying any sessions for yourself that could shift you over here, all right? And at the same time, while you're making that decision, it's basically all about survival, and it's going to really keep you stuck in your ego and survival mechanism instead of shifting you over, all right? That's just one example of how we make decisions coming from survival that keep us more in the pain and survival mode, basically, and in lack, okay? So also an ego really be coming from a place of pain. We're seeing the world very differently when we're coming from a place of pain. Whereas in pure spirit, we're looking at everything from a place of wisdom and love, okay? And we're actually in our inner power. Whereas in the ego, we might actually feel powerless and weak. We also have scarcity and lack in the ego. Whereas in pure spirit and heart, there's abundance. There's always abundance all around you. It's just that while you're in here, you're actually stopping yourself from receiving it, okay? Also in the ego, we're also more apt to be making things happen and forcing things to happen, because we're not readily flowing over here, okay? Because we keep manifesting with our unresolved experiences the stuff we don't want, and the stuff we want, we feel like we have to work really hard for it, and it's not working for us because these unresolved experiences keep blocking us from getting there, okay? And whereas in pure spirit and heart, it's more about being and manifesting effortlessly. You just think it, intend it, and it happens. And you're in the mode of allowing here, and you're also in flow. Whereas in the ego, you're in resistance. You're resisting. doing things that might even shift you over here, right? Because you're constantly coming from a place of pain and survival and fear. And then the ego, then consequently, you're creating all the things you don't want because you keep recreating these unresolved experiences because your soul wants to learn from your experiences, but it can't do that until you complete them. And so, while they're unresolved, you're going to keep recreating them, okay, in different situations, but same energetically. Whereas in pure heart and spirit, you're actually creating what you want, which is awesome. So what is the solution here? Or how do we align ourselves more with pure spirit and heart? Well, we do that basically through quantum healing by, healing these unresolved experiences and completing them, which allows you to be then more present in your pure spirit and heart, and also more present in life in general. Whereas in the ego, you're much more concerned about your past, and you're also, fearing that the future might look like your past, which is true as long as you keep stuck in your ego, right? Because you keep recreating more of the same. So basically quantum healing can shift you from your ego and into your pure heart and spirit. What are the benefits of quantum healing? What can we achieve with quantum healing? Well, first of all, you can do a lot of good in relationships with it. You can resolve a lot of relationship issues, because when we fight as a couple, usually what happens is we trigger each other into our deeper pain. And so the fight we're having is really not about the thing we think we're fighting about, but rather some much deeper pain within ourselves. I offer couples counseling sessions where I actually help you see the mirror between the two partners so that you can understand on the deeper level what is going on between the two of you. I also offer twin flames counseling because there's a lot of twin flames waking up out there that don't understand what's happening to them. Twin flames are very unique sort of relationships that can turn your life upside down. And I also do twin flame healings, to help improve the twin flame relationship. Health issues, quantum healing is an alternative form of medicine. I had a couple of gals that came to me years ago with Lyme. They were diagnosed with Lyme. And in about 10 or 12 sessions, both of them, we managed to get rid of all their Lyme symptoms. And they went back to who originally diagnosed them to get re-diagnosed. And after the healings, they were diagnosed with no Lyme. The transformation can be very profound with quantum healing. The other thing is chronic pain. I've healed a lot of chronic pain. I had one time a gal that actually had a session set up with me and instead went to the emergency room because she had such sharp pain in her stomach. She didn't know what was wrong, so she had him take all kinds of x-rays and all kinds of stuff. And then afterwards came to me. Now, the doctors couldn't find anything that was wrong with her, but we did like 4 sessions with her, and all of a sudden her chronic pain, went away. Or I had a gal one time with shoulder pain she kept complaining about. Sometimes it was so bad she couldn't sleep at night, and she kept contributing it to driving because she drove a lot as a salesperson. And I remember we did like one healing with her and took her into a past lifetime where we healed an injury in her past lifetime that had occurred in her past life, and completely, totally eliminated her pain in her shoulder. It was gone. You can do some really miraculous stuff with quantum healing. Also, since been able to resolve, chronic sinus problems somebody had for 20 years and that nothing helped with. Also chronic UTIs, where the guy kept going to the doctors and kept getting, stronger and stronger antibiotics, and the UTIs kept coming back month after month, like clockwork. Managed to completely resolve them in pretty much one session. Allergies. I talked a little bit about allergies, my journey around allergies. I've recently gotten rid of some wheat allergies for a gal, who suffered all her life with wheat allergies. Swollen joints, pain, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of symptoms. Now she can eat wheat and no problem at all, no symptoms whatsoever. Okay. Also dysfunctional patterns and situations, like I've dissolved entire court cases with quantum healing. Or issues of abuse, If you had different patterns of abuse in your life, and you keep attracting more of that, you need to heal that pain, that old pain of abuse. And that's going to stop the cycle. That's going to stop from it propagating to the next generation. All right, because sometimes these abuses keep going from generation to generation, whether it's sexual, physical, mental, verbal, emotional, physical. You can stop that with you, by healing you. You can completely break that cycle. Addictions or attachments. Attachments are just a lower form of addiction, if you will. I'm not an addiction type clinic. I don't do any detox, but I can help you heal the underlying pain that's causing you to come back to the addiction. Okay? That's quite often the culprit of the whole thing. And so once you get rid of that, then you no longer have the need to fill it with something you're addicted to or attached to. And addictions can be many forms. It doesn't have to be drug or alcohol. It can be sexual addiction, work addiction. You can be addicted just about anything. The other thing that I come to realize or notice is that negative self-talk actually comes from a lot of stored up unresolved pain in our soul energy. And once you do some healing around that pain, you actually, start to talk more positively. So if you get in that chitter chatter in your head and you can't quiet down when doing like meditation, you might want to consider some quantum healing, because they'll take care of it once you start healing up all that unresolved stuff back there. Now on the right side of the chart, what you see is a list of things that you can achieve through quantum healing more on a positive note, I guess, if you will. So like, for example, inner freedom. You're not going to be completely free until you deal with your past. And I'm talking about this unresolved past, obviously. Because your past will dictate your future if it's not completely resolved. And you're going to keep recreating the same old, same old. This is how history repeats itself. And so true inner freedom comes from being free from your unresolved pain, really, if you will. And until you resolve that, you're not truly free, because you keep recreating that in your life all the time. Then a real key thing also is coming back to wholeness. I focus in my quantum healing sessions a lot on the reintegration of your lost parts of yourself. When we experience trauma, quite often we fracture our soul and fragment it, so we lose pieces of ourselves. I had a gal one time who had lost her identity, and she came to me because she had lost her identity. Turns out that it was actually a large chunk of herself she split away from, called her identity, which we then reintegrated as a result of her childhood trauma we healed. And the transformation she went through was absolutely profound. I barely recognized her from one session to the next. It was absolutely amazing. It was miraculous to watch the transformation. So this is a key factor to, quantum healing, is coming back to wholeness. Also, the ability to be more objective and neutral. I find that when you heal up lots of that unresolved pain, then you actually are able to be objective and neutral about things. Whereas when you have a lot of stored unresolved pain, you're actually looking through the hourglass of your pain, and you are completely unable to be objective and neutral about certain situations, which really does a disservice to your clients when you are a healer, okay, or a psychic or a therapist, and you're trying to give people advice of some sort. Okay, so by the virtue of healing your unresolved pain, you actually can become more objective, neutral, and you can do much better service or be of much better service to your clients. The other one is also that's really key is being able to stand in your truth. You know, a lot of us got hurt for the fact that we stood in our own truth at some point or another. And thus now we have a hard time speaking our truth or standing in our truth. And yet it's such a vital key to being in your own business, to be able to stand in your own truth, you know, and speak your truth. So how do we achieve something like quantum healing? I mean, remember, it's about using processes to transform energy on the smallest molecular level, as well as, you know, shift in consciousness, as well as bringing you back into wholeness. By the way, what I do is also considered multidimensional healing as well as Akashic field healing. And so the processes that I use are pretty much these right here: present life as well as past life regression, to take you back into your pain memory to where something is actually coming from based on your reality mirror, so that we can get to the core issue. And actually it's about targeting a specific issue so that we can get you the result you want. Also, I work with the power of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the spiritual field. It has all the answers, but it is a matter of accessing that, okay, and knowing how to access that. Also, I work with my own intuition and guidance of my higher self in helping you with this whole process. And then what we're doing basically is we're transforming your pain into wisdom. And, you know, that is about bringing you into wholeness. Because in essence, what we're doing is integrating that unresolved pain experience, okay? And so that's what causes the major shift for you on a conscious level, as well as the transformation. Also, I focus on repairing your fractured and fragmented soul, if that's the case. And that also brings you into wholeness as well. And remember, wholeness is all about your well-being. The more whole you are, the more well you are, okay? And just to mention that, you know, some people confuse when I say past life regression with a past life reading they had from a psychic. And it's very different, because the psychic, when they do a past life reading, they tell you, you know, what they see in your past life, what you might have experienced. What I do is very different. I actually take you there, you know, where you're actually connecting with your own memory. So I'm not telling you what you experienced. You're telling me what you experienced. And it's much, much more powerful, because when you're actually connecting with it, that's when you can actually properly heal it. You know, when somebody else tells you something you might have lived in the past life, you have absolutely no connection to it. So this is very different, okay? But also more important than any kind of healing modality, because we can have a beautiful modality and I can teach you how to do past life regression. But are you going to know how to heal someone from, say, for example, having trouble conceiving a child? You know, where do you take them? Into what past life or where, right? So really, more important than any kind of healing modality is having the understanding of how the soul works and its healing process, and what happens to your pain when it's not processed, and, you know, what kind of effect does it have on us and why, and understanding our vibrational energy and how we manifest our reality, and being able to interpret the reality mirror correctly so that it relates to our deeper issue. Okay? And then how our unresolved past, including our past lives, affect us in our present. And then understanding the body, mind, and spirit connection. That is all knowledge and wisdom that is so key to this whole process. I don't only facilitate quantum healing, but I also teach it through the Advanced Healers Academy. And so I don't only teach you, how to do a past life regression. I teach you everything else. I teach you all of my wisdom and understanding. That is very difficult to come by, that is not being taught readily out in the mainstream. In summary, real change occurs by transforming pain into wisdom. Remember in the beginning, I asked the question whether you ever thought about what causes real deep down change that changes our vibration, which in turn changes our reality? Well, this is it. It's the transforming of our pain into wisdom. And then I shared with you the biggest secret that even the secret doesn't share with you. And that is that we manifest and attract not just with our thoughts, but our entire vibration, which includes unresolved pain experiences. Okay? Quantum healing not only can immensely improve every aspect of your life, but it is absolutely essential in you rising in vibration as part of the ascension process. Now, some of you may have heard of ascension, some of you may not have. What it is one of the biggest energetic shifts we're moving through, basically globally. And we're moving from the third dimension into the fifth dimension, which is much higher in vibration. And in the higher vibrations, life is actually fun. Because that's where we experience more joy, love, and abundance, and far less illness and far less pain. And the key element to rising in vibration is to basically offload our pain. Because pain is actually heavy in vibration. And so as we offload it by transforming it into wisdom, that's what allows us to actually rise higher in vibration. There is no time like right now where you are so incredibly supported to heal yourself and do the inner work to transform that pain. Planets are aligning in a certain way for us. The veil is extremely thin right now, and it's very easy to see our past lives. And this has not always been the case. Twin flames are coming together by record numbers to help each other in this process of healing and growing and, spiritually awakening. There are more and more healers that are waking up and reconnecting with their healing abilities and their divine gifts. And this is the same reason why I am doing what I'm doing, why I'm talking to you here today, why my twin flame woke me up spiritually, why I went through my healing journey and still continue to do so, why I am teaching quantum healing. I know there's more of you out there who would love to help but don't know how. And you know what? I can't do it all by myself. And this is the very reason why we're all being triggered left and right into our unresolved pain, basically. That's why there is so much drama all over the world. I mean, just look at the political field. Or even drama in our lives and chaos. I mean, I've never seen so much drama in people's lives, whether it's health issues or homelessness or whatever's going on. You can either live it and keep repeating it, or you can heal it. This is a very significant time right now. And I encourage you to actively participate in your own healing journey. Because everything that you do right now, you will get to carry that over into your next life. And if everything that you don't do, and all those unresolved pain experiences you don't resolve, you get to carry them over into your next life too. And so I really hope that you take advantage of this amazing and auspicious time. So we are at the end of our webinar here, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching, for listening, and for sticking around all the way to the end. And here's my little gift to you. If you are wanting to transform your life and create some real change in your life, then I'm offering you a 30-minute complimentary phone consultation and a partial reading, to see how I may be able to help you, to answer any questions you might have, and see if we're fit for each other. Perhaps you're struggling with something and you're not sure how quantum healing can even help you, in which case I will do a clairvoyant reading for you to kind of get the insight to what's going on behind the scenes for you there, and help you understand, and you can go from there. And there's no obligation with the 30-minute complimentary phone consultation. If you are interested in learning quantum healing, which by the way includes working on you, then go ahead and click on the link below the webinar and look at the details of the present time training program I'm offering. And if everything's a fit for you, then I would like you to schedule a complimentary 1-hour information session with me. And you can do that all via my phone number. Call or text me. You can also reach me via my email. Or if you just want to stay in touch with me, I listed my website here. You can check me out more on there, get additional information, or you can friend me on Facebook and stay in touch that way. Also on my website, you can enter your email to get on my email list. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best.